Sometimes things can feel less scary when we hear the stories of those who walked the road we are about to walk on. For privacy reasons, I'm not going to share detailed photos of my daughter, but I am going to share my husband and my pregnancy experience after we got our daughter's diagnosis of bilateral club feet. So we found out our daughter would be born with club feet at my 20-week anatomy scan. We were told everything horrible under the sun. They weren't actually explaining what clubfoot was, how common it is, how treatable it is, and failing to let us know that our baby girl was actually in perfect health. It was so confusing, and I left that office weeping. My obstetrician called us and reassured us that this is treatable and that she is healthy and that we're allowed to let ourselves be excited for our daughter's arrival. For the rest of the pregnancy, I Googled it and was always brutally disappointed at how little I could find. I scoured every social media app for other mothers' stories just to get some sort of frame of reference as to what we were in for. I was told that there isn't anything that they could tell me until they assessed my daughter after birth. I think people kept sensing my anxiety and wanting to know more, so I was really downplayed the treatment options and the treatment time frame. Those were two things I wish I knew when I was pregnant, and we are absolutely going to be covering that in this course. The rest of the pregnancy was uneventful, but my type A personality hated the fact that I didn't know anything and no one could even try to prepare me. So I just waited. I go into more detail about our treatment journey, tricks, and hacks in my roadmap to Clubfoot newborn course. But I can tell you that when my daughter was born with clubfoot, and it was bilateral talipes with partial clubfoot and another foot deformity on another foot called metatarsus abductus, which means pigeon-toed. Her clubfoot mobility was positional, not fixed. Her recovery was slightly delayed because her feet were progressing with some treatments like physiotherapy and stretches, but then they stalled, and then we had to figure out what was going on. So our treatment journey was a little bit longer than the traditional clubfoot treatment. And yeah, so she hit some of her milestones early, some of them on the later end. She was scaling furniture by 13 months, walking by 16 months, and is now the fastest toddler who literally gives me a run for my money. Looking back at all of the casting, the appointments, the physio, the treatments, it was a lot to navigate. But had I known what was in store for us from the start during my pregnancy, maybe it wouldn't have felt so overwhelming. My hope is that this course will be that guidepost for you. So, we're about to get started with our first module. I do need to put in a disclaimer that this course is for educational and informational purposes only and is not to be a substitute for medical advice or treatment. Whilst we pride ourselves in keeping this course up to date with the latest clubfoot treatment methods, medical practices and standards can vary per location and change without notice. And treatments for clubfoot may differ based on individual cases and medical needs. Feel free to pause and read the full disclaimer before commencing.